Good day.
First off, I want to start off by asking you to your reaction. What's your reaction to Trump's announcement yesterday that that brief pause that we had on the 25% tariff, is now going to be coming to Canadian goods?
Yeah, well, it's coming to American customers, importers of Canadian goods. We can't, reconfirm that enough. These are prices that Americans are going to pay on goods they bring in from Canada, but it's not good. It's not good for a whole host of reasons. One of which, the vast majority of what we ship to the United States are intermediary inputs, things they use as part of their manufacturing process, things they build and ship elsewhere, including back to Canada. And if there are U.S. tariffs, our Canadian government has committed to counter tariffs, which would mean the goods that we're bringing back in for purchase and use in Canada, as made in the United States, will be tariffed as well.
Now, we did have a brief pause from this because we were looking at possibly these tariffs happening a month ago. But what have you been hearing from manufacturers during this pause about everything that's going on?
Yeah, the uncertainty is really damaging. It's incredibly stressful, and any kind of policy uncertainty, any kind of economic uncertainty is just cause for people to sit on their hands and discontinue investment plans, or planned or otherwise. We did a national survey of our members a few weeks ago now, nationally, from BC through to Newfoundland, including our members here in Manitoba, in advance of the tariffs. Many of them, if they had the production capacity or the cash flow, were trying to expedite shipments into the United States in advance of the tariffs. Over 1 in 5, 22% already froze hiring. And we've heard since the time of this survey, based on conversations with customers and other chilling effects already seen in the market, some have begun layoffs, unfortunately, of some of their workforce. 30% have delayed investment, and over 1 in 5, 28% are seeking alternate markets. What the survey also told us was, if the tariffs are actually implemented, half of them will have to freeze hiring or lay off workers. Half of them will seek to move some production to the United States, which is incredibly unfortunate. And just under half, 46%, will postpone planned investments. And so incredibly damaging to the manufacturing community here in Canada.
So it sounds like companies have been bracing for this, have been
Oh,
preparing for
absolutely.
this.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. It's hard to prepare without having specifics. And even though the specifics have been announced by President Trump is notorious for changing the specifics at the last moment. And so, based on the fact we're 7 days out, I think there's a higher confidence level that these tariffs will actually be implemented as discussed next week. But until then, manufacturers have absolutely been taking steps to try and protect their business, and includes some of the things I've mentioned. It also includes conversations. I think a real key to this will be ongoing diplomacy and conversation. So our manufacturers have been having conversations with their suppliers in the United States, their customers in the United States. Hey, what is this going to mean to our contractual pricing? What is this going to mean to our long-term relationship? What's my ability to forecast my production need based on what you expect you'll continue to be able to buy, at what price point we'll be able to negotiate? So a lot of that work has been ongoing and continues to be ongoing.
Terry, which industries, maybe you can remind our listeners, which industries will be the most impacted by this?
Well, it'll be manufacturers in general. Again, if there's a 25% blanket tariff, anybody that takes a handful of materials, changes them, manufactures them into a finished good, and ships it across the border, they will be negatively impacted. That said, again, I cannot remind people enough that Canada and the United States, we build things together. We have for many, many decades. It's been a great element of our collective economic success. Over 60% of what Canadians ship to the United States are intermediary inputs. Over half of what Canada brings in from the United States are intermediary inputs. We are not exactly competitive economies. We collaborate. We build things together. It's a system that's worked and served both of our economies for many, many decades.
Will Manitoba, do you think, be able to brace itself for the economic impact that this could have?
Absolutely. Yeah, we got through COVID. We got through Trump 1.0. It won't be great. And there will be some who feel the impacts maybe more than others, which is unfortunate. But yeah, this will start with the manufacturing community, very quickly lead into those who work alongside the manufacturing community in helping us export our goods, those in the supply chain, trucking, rail, and other supply chain partners. From there, if investments are being slowed or stalled, what does that mean for the industrial construction industry or those who support our expansions? If there's less economic activity going on in general, if people are losing their jobs and have less disposable income, what does that mean to the retail sector, the restaurant sector, the art sector, the charitable sector? So I hope this won't be felt too loudly or too broadly, but the potential for widespread economic impact is certainly a reality.
After this announcement from President Trump yesterday, has there been any talk or has there been any kind of discussion amongst manufacturers that you've heard of maybe, I mean, because this is going to ramp up talks again to buy Canadian, to support Canadian businesses. Has there been more talk about that, or even possibly looking at other countries or other regions to possibly do business with?
Yeah, one of the items that when we surveyed our members, when they said in advance of the tariffs, what are some mitigating steps you're taking? And 28% of them said they are seeking alternate markets already. And while market diversification is always a good thing, the reality is the United States economy is huge and is very close to us. I could leave Winnipeg and 90 minutes later be in the United States. I can't say the same about Europe, Asia, or other markets. Doesn't mean they're not viable markets. It's just different. And changing your customer base, your supply chain, your production schedules to meet those extended supply chain timelines is not kind of something that's simple or quick. It takes a longer term strategy and will take some supports. And so we have asked our government partners, both for long term and short term supports. Short term supports, how do we keep that production from leaking into the United States? How do we keep people employed here in Manitoba and Canada? How do we mitigate some of those tariff cost impacts so that our members can continue to manufacture and sell into the United States long term? Yeah, how do we reduce those interprovincial trade barriers so we can become a bigger market for each other across Canada? What about government procurement reforms? We have manufacturers across the prairies that make ambulances, fire trucks, transformers. What are we doing at the government level to buy Canadian, those large industrial products that we make right here in Manitoba in Canada?
So, Terry, what will you be watching then in the next 7 days, in the next week, before these tariffs could possibly be implemented?
We're just doing what we can to have conversations with our members. We had a webinar this morning helping expand some of our members' awareness around country of origin labeling, tariff engineering, some other concepts. We're going to do a follow-up to that webinar to see what they might need from us in terms of assistance. Beyond that, is it go or no go on March 4th? And if it's a go, then again, we'll be having a lot of conversations like this with folks like you and our government partners around, okay, we've called for supports. What are the supports specifically going to look like? And how do we communicate that to industry?
Terry, I really do appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today here on the show. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.